It's your friendly ex-Muslim, Abdullah Simia. I'm going to tell you why I don't like Ramadan. Now, first of all, you're allowed to love Ramadan, so I'm allowed to hate it if I want to. I'm a former Muslim. I fasted for 15 years, pretty much every single day. I didn't miss any fast. Any fast that I missed because I was sick, I made up. 15 years, around 29, 30 days, so, 450, something like that. The first problem with Ramadan is it's forced upon everyone. It's not allowed to skip fasting. Muslims are forced to choose between what is to them a very real threat of hellfire and having to fast the entire month. So obviously they're going to choose to fast. No one wants to go to hell. So that's the first thing. It takes away people's freedom to choose how they want to live their life. The second thing is lack of water is not healthy. I remember by the end of the month, my lips were parched and dry, and it was awful. It was awful because there's only so much water you can drink in those 30 days. In those few hours, I should say, between sunset and dawn. Now, of course, depending on where you live, you might have a little bit more time, but especially in the summer months and especially in the northern latitudes, like in Canada, I'm talking about like 17-hour fast. There's only so much water you can drink and so much food you can eat, especially when you have to sleep, right? Normal people have to sleep at night. Normal people have schedules. In non-Muslim societies, you can't just, you have to still go to your job. Kids still have to go to school. Life still goes on. So you still have to live your normal life while doing this Ramadan thing, fasting all day, and then trying to squeeze in extra prayers, Taraweeh, if you're Sunni. If you're not Sunni, praying at home, whatever. Parents, have less energy for children. I know this from experience. By the end of the day, you're so tired, and then you have to read your Quran. And instead of playing with your kids, you have to focus on the religious matters, right? So you definitely lose out on that benefit. The entire society falls behind for 1 month. And this means every year, everything is put on hold. Things are stopped. Priorities are changed, and it becomes ibadah, it becomes worship, it becomes qiyam. For this month, you have productivity going way down in Muslim countries. And this is pretty much a fact. Muslim countries have shorter hours for work and schools are ending early. For this month, pretty much nothing gets done other than, this imaginary, appeasing of this God, right? Add up all of those years of productivity loss and just look at what it'll do to a society. It'll definitely hurt the society. The other thing is, Ramadan is actually impossible in certain latitudes. If you're way up north, you have only a couple hours of sunlight in summer. So you have to fast according to Makkah time or some other country that's close by because it's not designed properly, right? The whole system is flawed. This makes it easy for some people and difficult for others. So some people have it easy. They live closer to the equator. They have an even number of hours every year. It doesn't shift. And then there's people like us that get crazy long fasts for so many years, and then crazy short fasts for so many years. It's just ridiculous, right? Then you also get brain fog, tiredness, bad breath. The brain fog and the tiredness, of course, you get used to it after a few days and you adjust and your body adapts. But it can be difficult, right? I mean, you're talking about getting hangry, there's people that get into arguments and fights a lot in Ramadan, which is why you have to always, you're told no fighting, no arguing, because it can be tough. When you're fasting, you get angry, right? You get cranky, hangry, right? And then there's people that have health issues, right? People that have health issues, it becomes difficult for them to fast. Obviously, you're allowed to skip fasting if your health issue is so bad that it will cause you harm, like, for example, diabetes. You just have to do the fidya, you pay, and you don't make up the fast. But it's difficult for people that have some health issues, but they're not excluded from fasting, right? It can be definitely difficult, and people still have to do it. Not to mention that if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, again, you have an excuse, but some people still do it. I remember Muhammad al-Sharif in the Al-Maghrib seminar was telling us that people still fast when they're pregnant. And I can just imagine like how horrible and how stupid that is. But he actually told us that. He told us that you can do this. And I actually know some women that do this because they got pregnant and they had a bunch of kids and they kept missing their fast. So they didn't want to keep missing it every year. So they actually did it while they were pregnant, which is insane. Like, it's just bad. The other thing is, if you're an athlete, imagine you're a pro athlete, a bodybuilder, and you have to now fast a month. All of your muscle mass is going to go down because your priority is your muscle, your body is trying to stop you from starving. So what it's going to do is going to use up your muscle, then your fat. Muscle goes first, right? So keeping fit in Ramadan can be quite tough. A lack of energy, lack of water makes it extremely difficult. If you're a pro athlete, I mean, excluding those, pro athletes that have, $15,000 a month personal trainers and that somehow manage to do it, like we're talking about Muslim basketball players or soccer players that somehow in Ramadan manage to fast. For the rest of us, it's not going to be a situation like that where you have, access to things like that. And of course, at the end of the day, it's still going to hamper the performance, right? They're not going to be peak performance if they're fasting for 15, 14, 17 hours a day, even 12 hours a day. It just doesn't work. Ramadan fasting is not the same thing as intermittent fasting. People need to stop saying that it is. People will share studies and say, hey, look, intermittent fasting is so healthy. But intermittent fasting is different. Intermittent fasting, you get to choose the hours you want to eat. Let's say you want to eat from 12 noon until 5 p.m. You get 5 hours to eat during the day, which is convenient at a practical time. You don't have to eat from night time till dawn. You don't have to wake up super early in the morning and eat and then go back to sleep. You know what I mean? Or just stay up from like 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. It's flexible and you can drink water. You can drink water. You don't get dehydrated. So that actually has a lot more benefit than what we see in Ramadan. Now I'm gonna go into cultural issues. I'm gonna call these cultural issues, although some of them are, part and parcel of the Ramadan experience. But I know some people are gonna say these are cultural things. So I'm gonna call these cultural issues. The whole idea of fasting and then feasting is a big problem. Not only is this bad for you, but many people gain weight in Ramadan. Now, intermittent fasting, if you're gaining weight, you're doing it wrong. This is another reason why Ramadan fasting is not the same thing as intermittent fasting. It's not. People feel entitled after fasting a whole day, and they want a prize at the end. I mean, it's natural. You're fasting all day, you're struggling, and then at the end of it, you're like, okay, I did this great job. Now I want to eat these special pakoras and biryani, and you want to have a feast. This is not good. This wrecks your body. Fasting and feasting, it's not good at all. Right? The reason I'm saying it's a cultural issue is because you don't have to do this. I mean, technically, you could just eat a couple of dates and have a simple meal. And I know some Muslims do this, but I'm saying overall, most people are actually pigging out and it's actually bad for them. Many people say, well, Ramadan teaches you what it's like to be poor. No, it doesn't. No, it freaking doesn't. You're having this feast at the end of every evening and you're claiming that this teaches you what it's like to be poor? Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. This doesn't teach you that. This just teaches you to not eat for a few hours every day. That's all. It also makes people lazy. Ramadan encourages or, causes laziness, arguing, fighting. I remember in Egypt seeing people getting into fist fights in Ramadan because they're not eating all day and, tempers are easily, tempers come easy, right? When you're fat, when you're hangry, right? That's why they call it hangry. You're hungry and angry. The other problem for some Muslims is sleeping all day and eating all night and partying all night. Ramadan becomes a flip of the schedule. Instead of staying up all day, you stay up all night. And then what's the point? Like, what are you gaining from it if you're sleeping all day and you're sleeping all day and you're eating all night? Like, what's the point? But that's what people do, right? Another problem is men typically get off with like doing nothing or doing a lot of worship, and women are the one who have to do all the cooking and prepare all the meals, and it's just really unfair. Men snooze, and women are the ones struggling on top of fasting, right? Muslim societies, non-Muslims are forced into fasting, so to speak. They're not allowed to eat in public. They can be, shamed for doing that. Maybe there's no access to food, and so that's difficult for non-Muslims as well. I mean, it should be possible for non-Muslims to not fast, but in Muslim societies, of course, everybody's fasting around you, so you can't just eat, right? And then that's another challenge. And I've already mentioned, society shuts down completely. This is not good for productivity. This is not good for humanity in general, that this entire month, you just basically stop focusing on things that matter. Now, you might say, well, none of those things matter. Well, these things do matter. Progress matters, learning matters. All of these things that people do for a living, they do matter, right? And they make the world better. The world is so much better today because of science and technology, not because of religion. People have for example, I don't need to wear glasses anymore because I got laser eye surgery. Even glasses is a technology that makes people's lives better. All of these things make people's lives better. What does religion do? What does Islam do? It just makes people do all these things for nothing, right? It makes you feel better maybe, but it doesn't actually improve anything. So what's good about Ramadan? Since I've said so many things I don't like, well, what do I like? Well, I'm sure the iftars are fun. Iftars are lovely. Any excuse you have to get together with friends and family is awesome. That sort of experience is great. The feeling of satisfaction of accomplishing fasting and, managing to get it done, and to you feel proud of yourself, like, yeah, I completed this fast. And especially my kids, they love that, yeah, I did it. They love that feeling of accomplishment. Personally, I think if you want to fast, do intermittent fasting. Don't do Ramadan fasting. Ramadan fasting is not healthy. Do intermittent fasting. Fast 15 hours, whatever you want per day. Limit your food intake. Don't pig out. Don't be eating pakoras and unhealthy foods during those few hours. Eat healthy, right? And finally, obviously, I believe Islam is bad for the world. Ramadan is a made-up thing that everyone has to do to their own detriment. It's not good. And I think, humanity would be better without fasting Ramadan. That's what I think. That's why I'm not fasting Ramadan. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully, I'll be making more videos soon. I've just been terribly busy with work and other things. Thanks for being subscribed. Thanks for watching. And thank you to my patrons and the members on the channel for continuing to support my work. This is Abdullah Samir signing out.